In the whimsical land of Castle Gorge, nestled amidst the Monian Empire, there stood a grand castle that had seen better days because of some magical flamed gold mines. But here's the kicker, those mines were bossed around by the oldest noble family in the land, the Baroques. And the head honcho of this Baroque gang was Duke Baroque, who had this son named Lancelot. Now, here's where the fun begins. Castle Gorge was broke. All the gold from those fancy mines was vanishing faster than a magician's rabbit. So, Duke Baroque decided, hey, let's get Lancelot hitched to a rich girl. We'll get a fat dowry, and we'll be rolling in gold again. Lancelot, the most brilliant and charismatic knight of modern times, was having none of this marriage for dowry business. He squared off with his father, Duke Baroque, in a fiery argument that ended with him storming out of Castle Gorge, with nothing but his trusty sword and a spirit as free as the wind. Lancelot made his living by entering sword contests all across the country. He dazzled the crowds with his impressive swordplay and his motto, "Thorns remain should petals fall," which was just his fancy way of saying that he'd rather be true to himself than chase after riches. But Lancelot had a bit of a reputation when it came to the ladies. He was such a smooth talker that he often left a trail of broken hearts behind him. They called him the Blade of Roses, because, just like a rose's thorns, he could be sharp and prickly but also irresistible. Back at Castle Gorge, Duke Baroque was so fed up with his son's antics that he did something drastic. He erased Lancelot's name from the family record, as if he had never been a Baroque at all. Lancelot, in his quest to escape his family's expectations, found solace by the tranquil Azure Lake. There, he would sit on its serene shores and sing songs in praise of his own legendary exploits. He was known to boast about his sword skills, gallant charm, and of course, his infamous nickname, the Blade of Roses. One moonlit night, while Lancelot was in the middle of one of his particularly boisterous serenades, he noticed a group of drunken hooligans harassing a young girl adorned in a luxurious velvet mantle. His knightly instincts kicked in, and with a dramatic flourish of his sword, he swooped in to rescue the damsel in distress. In the process, though, he took quite a beating, and his heroic display ended with him collapsed beneath a tree. As his vision blurred, Lancelot saw a pair of ethereal, glowing swan wings gracefully swooping overhead, and then, everything went dark. He felt as though he was drifting into a deep slumber, but when he finally awoke, he was no longer lying beneath the tree. Instead, he found himself in a luxurious bed, his wounds expertly bandaged. His gaze turned to the young girl from that night, only now, she wore a delicate crown upon her head. She introduced herself as Princess Odette of the Swan Castle, House Alvin. Princess Odette had used her magical abilities to heal Lancelot's injuries and save his life. She had a heart as kind as her eyes were enchanting. Sneaking him into the castle tower to hide him from any prying eyes, she made sure he was well fed through the discreet assistance of a trusted maid. Lancelot had a knack for weaving half-truths and concealed identities into his tales. He introduced himself as the romantic knight of Castle Gorge, painting vivid stories about his homeland, the celestial places he'd never visited, and his grand adventures. Odette, who had spent her life within the castle walls, was captivated by his stories, her curiosity about the outside world growing with each song he sang. As Lancelot sang passionate love songs about Castle Gorge and the mythical lands beyond, Odette couldn't help but blush at the sweet words that poured from his heart. Days turned into weeks of enchanting melodies and stolen glances, and their connection deepened. Then, one day, Odette didn't come to their secret meeting spot. Lancelot, worried and anxious, approached a maid and inquired. Her reply hit him like a thunderbolt. "Someone proposed to our princess, she's been busy with it." Devastated and heartbroken, he decided to write a letter. In the letter, he begged for forgiveness and bid farewell, explaining that he had decided to embark on a journey to explore the mythical lands he had sung about. He promised to return someday and stand as the true knight he claimed to be. From her window, Odette watched with a mix of emotions as Lancelot departed. Her heart ached, and she questioned the true nature of her feelings. Was it love, longing, regret? She couldn't decipher it.